Today's episode is brought to you by the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. They've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you do not want to miss out on, and you can find out all about them at tgs.gg. I'm with Robbie Amell, who is the star of Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City, one of the stars. That's the cool thing about this movie, is that there's a lot of familiar faces and lots of characters that we know and love from the Resident Evil franchise. What was this movie like for you to make, Robbie?
Oh, this movie was a dream come true for me. I mean, I grew up on the games. I grew up on the character. I grew up on the movies. One of my buddies played Wesker in the prior Resident Evil movies, so I'm a big fan of his and a big fan of those, and just getting to be a part of this universe and play this character, it was just kind of like, it was just awesome.
Right on. Well, Chris Redfield is one of the, the favorite characters out there in Resident Evil lore. The fans love this character. What does Chris mean to you, and how did you approach making this character come to life on screen?
I mean, the great thing for me was a lot of that was taken care of. Johannes Roberts, who wrote and directed the movie, is as big a fan of the games as I am. When we first met about the movie, we just geeked out for an hour, talked about the games, talked about his adaptation, talked about the Easter eggs, talked about how he was going to shoot it and the tone of the movie, everything. And I just thought that he did such a great job of bringing Chris to life on the page that I didn't have a whole lot to worry about. I mean, the nice thing was, in the games, Chris is a little bit of this, hero, but stoic, a little quieter, not flat, but like, he's the super
plays by the book
soldier. Yeah. And, that's cool in theory, but it's probably a little boring for an hour and 45 minutes. So I think what Johannes did so well was he took things from Resident Evil 1 and 2 and adapted the games to this movie, and then took some liberties because it's a movie and you have to, and he created, these characters' stories and relationships, and that makes everything that people want to see matter so much more.
Did you guys go back to the Resident Evil games at all? Did you play them as a collective? Did you, have them almost work as storyboards as you were setting up shots and stuff?
I mean, if you play 1 and 2 and then you watch the movie, it's like, it's unbelievable. Some of the stuff is pulled right from it. I replayed 1 and I played remastered 2 before shooting, and like when I walked into the mansion for the first time, it was like, this is straight out of the game in the best kind of way. The Easter eggs, like, I would say 2 to 3 times a week, I would just be like, oh, no way. Like, just something new. And some of them are just in the background of the movie. They're just there for the people who played the games to see them and be like, oh, no way. Like, we were shooting in the laboratory and there's a bunch of like green and red and blue herbs, and it's just cool. And if you don't play the games, you don't know what it is. And if you do, you're like, of course. Well, of course.
That's what I love so much about the movie. It's just a love letter to the games. Like, it's kind of cheeky. You pull from the memes and stuff like that. I actually got a fan question from Murray Lane, who says, from Ghostman Muss on Twitter, who says, what is your favorite filling in a Jill sandwich?
That's awesome. Me. Chris.
You. That's great. Do you have a favorite of the Resident Evil games?
I really want to try 4 on VR, just because I think I've heard it's unbelievable.
I just reviewed it. It's amazing.
Really? They literally just sent me a code. They were like, do you want to play this? I was like, yeah, for sure. I just haven't had a chance yet. Going back and playing 1 was really cool because I'm playing as myself and in its original form. The controls are a little hard. Like, I replayed it and I was like, it's just dated and it's different. The remastered of 2 is actually beautiful. They did a really good job with it. I have a bit of a weird one that sticks out to me was the GameCube one that came with a gun that you could like actually, it was kind of like you walk with the D-pad and then you're actually firing the gun at the screen. I just played it in my basement start to finish in like 2 nights. And it was just like, it was not a, I'm not going to say it's not a great game, but it's not a great game, but it was super different and fun, and there was nothing else like it out at the time.
I think you're going to find that with Resident Evil 4 in VR. It's very different than the original, but it's so fun. Yeah, it's crazy fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Have you played Resident Evil 8 Village yet?
I haven't played Village yet, but I was talking to Johannes. I'm like, so in like 20 years, when I'm old enough, we just come back and we make live action Resident Evil Village or what? He's like, yeah, let's do it.
Are you ready for this? Because Chris Redfield, obviously he's in so many of the Resident Evil games. Are you ready to like live a film career now as this character?
I mean, I'll play this character as long as they'll have me. I just, for me, it's kind of a childhood dream. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, the people involved and the script. And with this one, it was a no-brainer. The script was great. Johannes was obviously the right guy for the job. So it wasn't even a question. I also think that this is the movie that the fans have been waiting for. I think that if you grew up playing the games, you are going to lose your mind. And if you didn't, it's still a cool 90s horror zombie movie. Like, I think the 90s of it brings a nice charm and a little bit of humor. And like you said, a little bit of cheekiness to it, which I think, when there's a little bit of humor, it makes the scares hit that much harder.
The original games were based off of like the Romero era of zombie movies, and this kind of evokes that. And I love that it's very low rent technology in the movie because it's in the 90s, and it's really true to the spirit of the games. I thought it was really fun. Job well done by all of you guys. Neil McDonough is in this, and he's I love his work. He's always super cool in whatever he pops up in, and
he's also just like the best guy ever.
Oh, right on. So it was fun working. I'm sure through the CW universe, you guys had probably connected or something in the past.
We had hung out a bunch at like some Comic-Cons and stuff, but we had never worked together. And I knew him through my cousin, obviously. And Neil just was like, he's just the best. This is a guy who has worked with Spielberg and Tom Cruise. Like, he's worked with the best of the best. And I remember on one day on set, he's got a giant green screen arm on, or like green suit arm on, that they're gonna have eyeballs coming out on, like fake blood on his face, and like he just owns it. And he, it's easy to feel silly when you're wearing something like that. And like, I was just kind of in awe of how much he just delivered take after take in such a weird scenario for most people. And he was just like all business, killed it, and just such a good guy.
Awesome. And Donal Logue is in this as well, or Donal. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's terrific.
I say Donal, but I don't know if I'm right. We shot a pilot years and years and years ago, and then I hadn't seen him since then for this. And like, just watching him in the bullpen scene where he's just like
barking.
Half of that's improvised. He's just riffing.
Oh,
he's just riffing. He's just having a good time, and we're all like, he just owns it, and you totally buy him in that role. He's great. The whole cast was awesome. Like Johannes, he kind of just doesn't mess around. He met with everybody. He made sure everybody was on the same page, and he just put together a great cast.
You've got all of these characters in makeup, and there's zombie blood and gore all over. Does any? Like, I always think that stuff would just stink. Like, it would just smell bad when you're.
It's the opposite. It just tastes like sugar, or it smells like sugar. It's all. It's all like glucose based, so it's like, all the mouth blood and stuff. It's super sweet. It's very, very sticky. It's wildly sticky. I came home with it on one night just because I was exhausted. I came home with a big cut and all this stuff. And my wife and I were living in a condo in Toronto right now. And I got home and I walked in, and security was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, oh yeah, no, it's all fake stuff." And like, I thought I had been in like a bad accident.
Had you ever done anything in the horror space like this before? Had you done a zombie type thing or monster type thing like this?
No zombie stuff. I did a couple movies called The Babysitter on Netflix, which are like horror comedy. A lot of blood though, but no like monsters or zombies. I did I don't think I've done much other zombie stuff. And like all the stuff with Code 8 is all like guys in green suits being robots. But the cool thing about the zombies on Resident Evil, it was all stuntmen and women in the makeup. So like we could really go for it with the fight scenes and make sure that it looked like, everybody was in danger. It wasn't too soft.
I got a question here from that Doongie. Was it at all frightening to work with all of the monsters and zombies? And what did you think of those undead? Did you have any freakouts, any scares at all when you're in the middle of all that stuff?
It's way scarier to watch a horror movie than it is to make a horror movie. You kind of see behind the curtain a little bit. You've got these stunt players in full gear and they're terrifying. And then you see one like eating a sandwich or like drinking a Coke and you're like, nah, never mind. Not that scary.
You guys shot in Sudbury, Ontario. Had you been there before? And what was the reception to you guys being there with this big brand, this Resident Evil brand? It must have been pretty cool for the town folk.
I had only been out there for hockey tournaments when I was younger, just like bus trips out to Sudbury. It was during COVID, so it was not a whole lot of like hanging out or doing things, but the city was great. Everybody was, there were no problems. Everybody was super receptive of us being there, especially during a pandemic. It was kind of nice to be out there, to be honest with you, because, Sudbury was less people, a little bit, pretty far north. There wasn't a whole lot of COVID there. It felt a little more normal than the big city at the time. Right. It's funny, like Sudbury looks like it would be so beautiful in the summer with all the lakes and everything. But like most parts of Ontario in December, it's like gloomy, cold, gray, everything's dying. And you're like, okay, this is Raccoon City.
It is Raccoon City. It's perfect for Raccoon City. What was your favorite part of this shoot for you personally?
There were a few like real standout moments for me. One of them was during the camera test when we were trying on wardrobe and we found like the green Vietnam flak jacket and like put the look together for Chris. It was just like super cool. I remember Capcom sent an email to Johannes about like little notes for each character, and like Chris, it was like nothing. Chris looks like Chris. Like,
that's
it was
great.
Just like perfect. It was great. And then the fight scene where I'm in the dining hall, where the only light is from the muzzle flash of my gun.
That was super cool.
Just like, thank you. It was really fun to rehearse and choreograph with the stunt department. And it was literally me and 10 stunt players, just like this, putting together this dance of like, dodging knives and guns and teeth. And it was super cool. I got to do the entire thing myself. That was just kind of like me playing action star for a couple of days, which was super cool.
Well, it's edited beautifully too. It's a standout sequence in the movie. I loved it.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you real quick here while I've got you about Code 8. Congratulations on the Netflix pickup.
Thank you.
And how are you feeling? How are you and Steven feeling about the reception to the original, and now you're getting to make more of this sandbox that you guys created?
I mean, the response to the first one was so unbelievable. Even Netflix couldn't believe it. I remember a couple mornings before, they were like, okay, you're going to premiere. Like, we're excited. It sounds like it's tracking well, but like, we won't know until it goes live. And they were like, if you break into the top 10, that would be really great. But if you don't worry. It's not a big deal. There's still going to be a lot of eyes on it. And by morning 2, we were the number 1 movie and the number 2 thing overall. The only thing that was beating us was Tiger King, which is a damn phenomenon. So
yeah, sure.
It was just so awesome and mind-blowing, the response from all the fans, and from it starting as this short film and crowd-funded movie, and then it just premiered on Canadian Netflix like a month ago, and it went to like number 2 in Canada after it had already been released here on 2 years ago, or I guess a year and a half ago, on like On Demand and on Crave. So the staying power was really sweet, and
that's awesome.
It was really awesome for Netflix to come in a big way and kind of take the world on the sequel. So the second one is a Netflix original. We're in week 4 of shooting right now. I have a couple of days off just to do some of these Resident Evil press days, but it's It's going really well. The movie's bigger. The movie's badder. The movie's really awesome.
Kick ass, man. I'm a big fan of yours. I thought you were terrific
Thank
as
you.
Firestorm, which was the first time that I had sort of noticed you, and you did a great job there. And I'm just happy to see your success, and it was great to see you in this brand new Resident Evil. What have you got coming up? What's up after Resident Evil? What can people look forward to seeing you in?
So we've got, I just finished producing and starring in a movie called Float. It's a romantic comedy. Jeff Chan, who directed Code 8 and produced Code 8, he's my producing partner on that. So we worked with Lionsgate and a company called Wattpad, and we worked, Andrea Bang is the lead girl. She's from Kim's Convenience. She's amazing. We had a great time shooting that. I've got season 2 of Upload coming out this February, I believe. I just watched all 7 episodes. They sent them over the other day. It's really great. If you like the first season, it's super weird and out there in the best kind of way. And then Code 8 Part 2 will be, I would say, probably a year-ish from right now, since we're still in production.
Awesome. Well, and expect more Resident Evil appearances, pal.
I hope so.
All right. Thank you so much, Robbie. Good luck with the movie.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Great talking to you.